So we got to go quick. Film Review Monday. Fran Duffy, Zack Berman, Wulf coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock, a quick turnaround before a big Thursday night game against the Washington Commanders. The Eagles are 7-2 in first place in the NFC East for now, and we are presented by the good folks at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Wulf, Fran Duffy, Zack Baun here to talk about the Eagles' demonstrative 34-6 win over the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. But we start, Zack Baun, with a little bit of breaking news just in under the gun.
Yes, the Eagles activated Jordan Mailata's 21-day practice window. So this means that Jordan Mailata would be eligible to return on Thursday night against Washington. So the nuance here is that the Eagles don't actually have a full practice between now and Thursday, but they'll have walkthroughs in there, and Jordan Mailata can participate in the walkthroughs. And if the Eagles say, all right, this is a veteran player, someone who's been around, if there's no health concerns, and they feel like he doesn't need that actual acclimation process, he could be on the field Thursday night.
What do you think? You think they'll feel okay with doing it?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that would be why you would activate it now. Otherwise, because they won't actually practice until like next Wednesday would be their first practice,
right?
Or maybe next Monday if they come back after the weekend, then you could wait and actually have more time.
But he's the guy who they can sort of test out physically because he didn't play in a game yesterday, right? So they can.
Yes.
It makes total sense. See how he feels. If he feels 100%, I think you do just shotgun him right into the lineup, right?
I agree. He's been around. He's a veteran. I think this is good news for the Eagles. I'll defer to both of you. I think Fred Johnson's been okay, but I think that's a spot where they can use an upgrade.
Well, yeah. How did Fred Johnson do yesterday? How desperate would the Eagles be for a new left tackle?
Yeah, I don't know that desperation is the word, but I do think that Fred's been fine. He's been solid, but I think you're missing.
He's had some tough duty as well.
No question. Yeah. What he did against Trey Hendrickson was certainly really impressive. But I think when you're looking at Jordan and what he can do in the run game and the screen game, certainly can be more dependable in pass protection. You're probably giving Jordan a little bit less help with your tight ends and your backs. That allows those guys to be more eligible receivers more consistently in the offense. I think that. Getting him back in the lineup, I don't know if desperate would be the word, but I do think that would be a boost, certainly.
What about, just to peek ahead a little bit, what about Commanders defensive line-wise? What are they presenting?
Yeah, I think they do this. It's a fast group, an athletic group. You look at Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler, two guys off the edge. Cleveland Farrell gets a lot of run for them as well. But those would be the two guys that can give you the most problems in terms of their speed off the corner. So I think you look at those two guys, and they're solid players, but.
That's not Micah Parsons and Trey Hendrickson and Josh Hines-Allen.
Yeah, no question. So I don't think you need to rush it from that standpoint. But look, in the run game, I think when you look at what Jordan does for you at the point of attack, I think that would give that a big boost. All right,
let's get into the film, Fran. Yes. You have tried to speed it up. You've tried to crunch it. Nice little sprint that you have gone through, and let's talk about the quarterback.
Okay.
We'll get to the defense, I think, a little bit later. Defense was awesome. Cooper Rush stinks.
Yes.
We can talk big picture about how good this defense is, but less to talk about, I think, in this specific game. On offense, Jalen Hurts, by the numbers, EPA per dropback, it was his 7th best game of the season.
Sounds right.
Out of 9. 5 sacks, 2 turnovers. The first half, how disappointing was it on film?
I would say it was about what I expected it would be.
Okay.
And honestly, like 7th out of 9th in terms of EPA per dropback. That sounds about right. in terms of what my general feelings were walking away from the tape and how that mirrored to how it felt walking away from the game last night, how it felt at halftime when you and I spoke on the halftime show yesterday. I think when you look at Jalen's performance in this game, certainly the second half was better than the first half. Still wasn't asked to drop back like a whole ton. Well, it was like 20, in the low 20s in terms of total dropbacks in this game in terms of attempts. 5 sacks, not good. All of them came in the first half. So it's like, okay, obviously there was an uptick in play there. When you got to the second half, they had a handful of things that popped up as problems. I didn't love the game plan in this game in terms from a route concept standpoint. I a lot more ISO ball than I like. And what I mean by ISO ball, meaning that really you're going around and it's this guy's got to win on his own. This guy's got to win on his own. It's not like the routes complementing each other. There were a handful of snaps in this game where it was just like, okay, there's this guy. AJ's got to win one-on-one. Devontae's got to win one-on-one. Dallas Goedert's got to win one-on-one. And look, I think that was a good way to play, years ago. And I think when you look at the Eagles' talent, you could make a case for that the Eagles can play this way and survive. But the same way that people get frustrated with the Cincinnati Bengals, offensively from a structure standpoint, when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, those guys can go win. You're not doing enough to try and get those guys open, make things a little bit clearer for the quarterback. These are things that we've talked about, going back since I've been on the show. So it's not a huge surprise, but I think it has been a little bit different than what we've seen from them in these last few weeks.
Why don't we get into the sacks?
Let's do it.
Do we have the first one?
Yeah. So the first one.
Now, one thing that I've been tracking
is
just negative play percentage for the quarterback.
Oh, do you have a name for this metric? In the PFF pantheon?
Yeah, the Bo Football Focus. We're going NP. How about NPO, since we love the NPO? Negative play, and then the O is actually a 0.
Okay.
And it's a signal for the percentage.
Got it. All right.
So percentage of dropbacks where the quarterback is either sacked, throws an interception, or fumbles the ball.
Okay.
Where do you think out of 35 quarterbacks Jalen ranks in the NFL this season?
Yeah, it's got to be low, I would think. I mean, it's in terms of the negative end of the spectrum, he's got to be bottom 5.
Zach, any guesses?
Bottom 6.
Zach is right. He's
Bottom
30th
6.
out of 35.
Oh, look at that.
Did you know that?
No. Is that game theory?
Get the banner.
Isn't that game theory there?
Well, I don't know if it's game theory. If it's
we weren't doing Price is Right rules.
Yeah.
Just a guess. But yeah, it was good.
Okay.
That was a good one.
That's interesting. Yeah. And I think that speaks to the boom bust nature of the way that Jalen has been playing this season. I mean, some of the plays he made yesterday were fantastic. Some of the throws downfield to AJ Brown, awesome. But there are times this year where he is actively taking stuff off the table for the Eagles. And so if we're ready to flash through the sacks, you tell me how at fault he is on some of those.
Julia, this is offensive 7. In terms of this was play 7 in the game. I'm going to go through what we see here. Now, this is the sprinkle a little sugar on the A-gaps. This is what we got
classic
here. Now,
Zimmy.
it just so happened, I mentioned last week in the Dallas Cowboys preview that they weren't doing it. They were doing it. You could see it on film, but it was not like their primary pressure look. They were mixing in so many other blitz package looks here with Dallas. In this game, this was their primary look, where they brought 2 linebackers up into the A-gaps over the center, and they forced the Eagles to try and protect. Now,
do you think this is an auto call with Kenny Gainwell on the field?
No, because they did it with Saquon as well. And it happened a lot on third downs, but they mixed it up certainly. Now, when you've got 2 linebackers standing up in the A-gaps, and it's 2 off-ball linebackers, it's not a defensive end or anything like that. When you have those 2 guys, the way that it's blocked 99% of the time, and Julie, if you want to go to the next shot, is going to be with your center and your running back. Because now what that does is that allows the rest of your offensive line, Julie, if you want to go to the next one, the rest of your offensive line can now handle the rest of the defensive line, right? So it's the defensive tackles are handled by the guards, and the tackles handle the defensive end. So that means that for those linebackers standing up over the center, you need your running back, you need your center. They're going to handle those 2 players. And so, Julie, if you go to the next one, basically this sack happened because Kenny Gainwell missed the block. This was very simple to see. Gainwell steps up, he misses Overshown, and Overshown's able to get home. Now, the reason why I brought this up was just because this double A-gap pressure that showed up a number of times over the course of the game. This one was unfortunate because the dagger route was opening for Devontae Smith. It was a deep dig route against cover 2. It was going to be there. And if Jalen had time, I think he would have been able to step up and hit Devontae Smith for a really good chunk play, but the protection failed him on that play. That was not the case for really the majority of the afternoon. This would be the one where I would say this sack was on the protection and not so much Jalen.
But he calls the right protection.
That to me, the protection,
Yes.
the protection is right there. That is
Okay.
the way that it's handled 99% of the time.
Gainwell's going to get beat sometimes. You tip your cap. So of the 5, this is the one where he's least to blame.
Yes, this would be the one where I would point to and say, I would not put that one on Jalen. Now he was sacked on. That was a 2nd and 20 after.
Yes.
That was a 2nd and 20. There was a sack on 1st and 10 where. This was an ISO ball play. I didn't pull the clip of that one, but this one he's looking at Devontae Smith, and Devontae's not there. He didn't like the throw. He probably should have thrown it, but he didn't like it. So he turns that down, and by the time he gets over to the other side, those routes aren't there, and then he ends up running into the sack. And so, the first sack kind of put him in a hole. It's second and really long, and then they're able to tee off, and then that's the end of the drive.
Where would you guess this game ranks in his season in terms of the percentage of negative plays on his dropbacks?
I mean, it's got to be pretty low, I would think, because if you only had 20 plus dropbacks and it was 5 sacks,
dropbacks, right?
Yeah,
But
one fumble.
Yeah, this was the worst.
Yeah,
this was the worst. 25% of the dropbacks in this game. And just to close the loop, last year he was 20th. 2022 he was 19th. 2021 he was 12th. And so
the NPO. Okay,
I think we could probably workshop this.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, there's some good quarterbacks who are low. If you're bringing big play potential, that's okay. But I don't think you want to be 30th.
No, you definitely don't. And it's I think it's a good example of what we're talking about in terms of the high variance of play. What we've seen from Jalen Hurts.
How you doing over there, Zach?
Enjoying the conversation.
Okay.
Hopefully,
Feel free
everyone
to
out
chime
there is.
I was looking forward to this.
How many hours of sleep did you get?
3 hours and 43 minutes.
None on the plane, right?
No.
You usually never sleep on the plane?
Actually, the guy in front of me complimented my writing. I was pretty pumped about that. That made me feel, I was. He reclined his chair, and and I had the iPad up because I was trying to watch NFL rewind. I was watching the game film.
Wow. Okay.
And
that can't be good on the airplane Wi-Fi.
no, it's not. It was spotty.
It seems like a waste of time. No offense.
Yeah, but I was coming straight to the show, so it was my only chance to watch the game. It was very spotty. But then I was on the aisle. The guy in the middle gets up to go to the bathroom. I stand up. This is such a nice guy. He says, I really liked your stories the past 2 days. And I could have flown the plane. I was on cloud 9 the rest of the way. Like this was,
That's great.
It was awesome. I appreciated it. Appreciate him being a diehard.
It's awesome. Diehard. That's very well. He has to be.
It's only-
Or he's lying to you.
Unless he likes my tweets, right? Or something like that.
Or he's sharing an account with somebody.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the diehards, for all of these plays that we're breaking down on the show today from the screen grab standpoint, we're all from the diehard Discord. So another reason to become a diehard, you're able to impact the show that way. So all these sacks, this was a request from Historian on the Discord channel.
And we talked on the post-game pod yesterday about the shower schedule. What are we working with shower-wise?
I can also give football insight too. I got up at 4:30. I showered at 4:35. So one shower.
I feel like there's a chance that this could be like daily show-wise, the furthest distance from shower to show that we may get from you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would say there is no shower that feels better and is more important than the post-plane.
I didn't
shower.
get to do
absolutely.
that.
I'm aware.
I had to change it. I'm sorry. I had to change the clothes. I brought it in. Had the Dob kit, but
the hair has held up well though.
Yeah.
I didn't wear a hat because on the plane I usually wear a hat.
Your Rob Lowe hat.
It's not a Rob Lowe hat. It's actually it's a logo-less hat. It's not a Rob Lowe hat. Rob Lowe he wears the NFL on his hat, right? I just wear a logo-less hat. It's a very popular hat.
With who?
Everyone says it's popular.
Yeah,
Everyone says it.
It's a very popular hat. It's
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a very popular hat.
With who?
I see people in Wawa all the time wear the same hat. We do a little hat nod. Yeah.
It's like a Jeep driver. Like they all give
With who?
themselves the other nods.
NPCs. What's NPC?
Non-playing characters.
No. It's a popular hat. It is.
It's very fun.
It is. Yeah. Anyways, I will contribute to this Jalen Hurts conversation as we go because we talked about on the post-game show yesterday. I watched him back just because I was like, did I have the wrong read on this? I was really impressed by the touchdown passes. Like, I thought the touchdown passes, and I know we're focusing on the sacks right now, but we can talk about the negative plays. I thought both touchdown passes were like textbook. This is what you like about Jalen Hurts. And I thought some of his runs too, and he extended, the first drive of the game. That was a big run. He extended that. I thought the pass to AJ was good. I agree. Like, the first half was bad, but they did play. He played 3 quarters, and he was money in the third quarter. I thought.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's keep going with the sacks.
Okay. So we'll go to the second one. So Julia, this would be offense 23. So this is a sack from Overshown, second and long here on this play. And this is another one where basically this would be one where I think Jalen kind of got fooled by the coverage. And so we're going to look at this from the sideline angle. And you could see at the top of the screen, I think, Zach, you said this in the show yesterday that Lane brought up in the post-game locker room how Dallas had done a really good job of mixing up their pressure looks where they're bringing a linebacker but dropping a defensive end, those sim pressure looks that the Eagles have been so good at. Well, here I think one of those pressures got Jalen to the point where he kind of fooled him a little bit. The defensive end drops out and impacts the tight end, releasing out into the flat. The linebacker is coming from depth. And the Eagles actually, the line picks this up. So this wasn't one where like the free runner got home and impacted Jalen Hurts in that way. But Julie, if you go to the next screen, Jalen is looking to the right and he's working that field to the right. Dallas Goedert's working open on the deep corner route. And this is a 3-man concept. It's called a snag concept where you basically have like a little button hook over the underneath. You have a route going to the flat, and you have the deep corner. And it's a triangle read for the quarterback. And that's the throw against this coverage. And you see Dallas is kind of breaking open over the top. Now, he doesn't throw it, which is fine. This is the bottom of the screen is the ISO ball that I'm referring to earlier. That's basically that's Devontae and AJ running at the bottom of the screen, and they're running like two deep, if memory serves, 2 deep curl routes. Neither of them really gets great separation. So Jalen kind of looks to his right. He doesn't throw it to Dallas. There's nothing in the middle of the field as we see here. This goes back to some of the things we talked about early on in the season where there's not like, oh, he's turning down a throw in the middle of the field. The only throw here, the only open receiver was Dallas, and he didn't throw it, and so then he just kind of ran into a sack. So this was one where it's second and 9 here on this one, and he takes a loss for -8, where he just basically had nowhere to go on that play.
Okay, let's keep going.
Let's go to the next one. Very next play. So, Julie, if you want to go to offense play 24.
Very next play.
Very next play. Now, this one, it comes from the sprinkle of sugar on the A-gaps, from the double A-gap look. And so we'll start there where, you could see from the end zone angle, you got those 2 linebackers walked up right over the center. And, Julie, if you want to go to the next shot, as we look right into the shadows here.
Jerry's very
in
proud
the Jerry
of
world,
shadows.
yes.
You know where the moon is on a given day? Did you hear Jerry's quote?
No, he said the sun.
No, but he said, "Why don't you ask me about the moon too?"
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Then
see
he
that
pulled
quote.
his pants down and
No.
entire
He said they know a year in advance how the sun's going to be. So why is everyone talking about this? Why don't you ask me about the moon?
Because his players
also?
hate it. Because all the players. Yeah. It's. I'm assuming he didn't hear CeeDee Lamb his quotes by that point, but yeah, it was.
I just have one comment on this, and again, I don't understand. I'm speaking without education here. I don't know the topography of Arlington, Texas.
Yep.
But why didn't they just orient it, north-south instead of east-west?
Yeah.
So therefore, the end zones aren't like the sun's not setting right in the end zone.
Good question.
I will say that, that's a cool shot from a photography standpoint. You see those
the
shadows
photos
there.
look
Very
so
cool.
good.
Yeah.
The photos look so good.
It's not practical whatsoever. But I digress. So from this double A gap look, Eagles protected the same way. You got the center, you got the running back. They're going to handle those two linebackers walked up. And Julie, if you want to go to the next shot. Mekhi Becton does a great job. You can see that the linebacker that was walked up over Becton, I didn't circle him there, but he's right on the left hash mark there, and he's dropping out. So Becton's guy drops out. So he said, all right, I got to look for work. Let me work down on this linebacker that is going into the A-gap. So he does a nice job of helping the center and the running back. That was the running back's assignment there on that play. So he blocks down, creates a nice pocket. Julie, if you want to go to the next shot, creates a nice pocket for Jalen Hurts. Now, the problem here on this play, when Jalen hits the top of his drop, And this might be the fact that he got sacked. This was his fourth sack already. But he hits the top of his drop and he squares up to the line of scrimmage. And this is a cardinal sin.
This is weird, right?
For a quarterback. He's prepared to run. This is like fight or flight. Like he's prepared to scramble when he hits the top of his drop, and he's not in position to make this throw from a pocket that's pretty clean. Like he should be able to step up and make this throw. And Julia, if you want to just go to the last shot. The Eagles were running 3 vertical routes here against Tampa 2 coverage. So you've got 2 deep safeties. They can't defend all 3 vertical routes, right? So you've got Devontae Smith and Jahan Dotson. They're basically running vertically, 1 down the seam and 1 down the sideline against the safety at the top. And then AJ is running scot-free. He's going to be working down against the safety at the bottom of the screen. So all 3 of these, it's a poor job by the arrow placement by me on this one, but you can see that that Jalen he's squared up to the line of scrimmage. It's the same point in the play from earlier, and you've got all these routes working vertically down the field. Now, there's not any really answers underneath on this play. It is 3rd and 17. They're hoping for some kind of a vertical play, but he's not in position to step up and make this throw, and ends up running into a sack from Micah Parsons.
So is that on Kellen?
No, to me, that's on Jalen. Like Jalen has to do a better job there of managing that pocket. To me, like he hit the top of his drop, and instead of being in position to throw the ball, he hit the top and immediately squared up and looked like he was getting ready to run. He's got to trust that the protection's going to be there, because the protection was there for the most of this game. And so that, to me, like that one was probably like the low point for Jalen in this game would be that clip.
I did think in the third quarter they seemed to scheme up more of the quick game. Should there have been more of a quick game option on that play?
Well, I mean, it's 3rd and 17. So, like, if he throws the ball off to Kenny Gainwell for 3 yards, like we're not really happy with that. I think that on that one,
that's the answer.
Yeah, I think on that one, he's got to know, like, I've got to step up, and if there is a free runner, like that's going to be on me. And there are times in this game where I don't have all those shots pulled just because of time, but I think that when you look at it, like he did a good job on a number of those plays where he did manage the pocket. The one that stands out, there was an 18-yard slant route to AJ. I think it was like a 3rd and 5, where it was against that same look. The offensive line held up. He sidestepped to his left, did a great job managing that pocket, found space to work. AJ did a great job separating. 3rd down completion, 1st down. That led to a touchdown later, right? And so, like, there were times in this game where I thought Jalen managed the pocket really well. Certainly, first half, that was not his strong suit.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we're nitpicking. He's allowed to have bad stretches of play. He had just been sacked. You can understand why there might be a little bit of hesitance in the pocket. That play in particular, 3rd and 17. I mean, where they are on the field, throw the ball downfield.
Yep.
Like even if that one gets picked, it's not the worst thing in the world. So there's going to be a time this season when Jalen Hurts is going to have to win them a game.
Right.
He has that in him. We know that's going to come at some point. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how he responds.
No doubt.
All right. And I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody responds on the other side of this break. Managing finances can feel complicated and time-consuming. Am I right? Well, guess what? Doesn't have to be. Rocket Money simplifies everything, making it so easy to see exactly what's happening with your finances, track your spending, and give you full control of all of it right from your phone. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your accounts. You can easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate to lower your bills for you, sometimes by up to 20%. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They will deal with customer service. I mean, what's better than that? Saving me money and I don't have to be the one to talk to customer service? Beautiful. Thank you, Rocket Money. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY. rocketmoney.com/PHLY.
So Bo asks why. I'm going to say with another question. What is HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it is America's #1 meal kit. Look, the holiday season is right around the corner. Things are about to get a lot busier for everybody, and we're all looking for ways to spend less and stress less. Well, HelloFresh makes mealtime nearly hassle-free with delicious, home-delivered, chef-crafted recipes that come together quick and are less expensive than takeout. Whether you're craving hearty comfort food, trying to please the picky eaters in the family, or if you're looking for a healthier meal plan, HelloFresh has all of those options and more available on a rotating menu of 50 recipes to choose from each and every week. I could tell you, as a long-time subscriber to HelloFresh, there are plenty of options for you to choose from. You can step out of that recipe rut and you can make fun, flavorful meals without needing to hunt for specialty ingredients. Because, you find a recipe online, you go on Instagram or Pinterest, and you're like, oh, this looks like something fun to make. Oh, do we have tarragon in the pantry? No, you get the little baggie with just enough that you need just for that recipe, and now you're not wasting food down the line. The HelloFresh's pre-portioned ingredients mean less food waste overall. Easily, you can customize recipes so that each meal is just the way you like it. You like the way this pasta dish looks, but you don't want shrimp. You'd rather have chicken. Very easily swap out the protein. Oh, you don't like asparagus. You'd rather have Brussels sprouts. You can swap out the side dishes very, very easily, all on their website. I can tell you, I've tried all of these meal service plans over the years. Me and my wife and I have been using them for a long, long time. HelloFresh is our favorite. We've been using HelloFresh for the last several years, without a doubt. It is our favorite and something we go to every week. We get 3 meals a week and have for a long time. So if you want to take advantage of what HelloFresh has to offer, get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/freeeagles. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeeagles.
I did have a question.
I have a question for you too, but they're probably not the same.
I can't imagine.
Okay. Do you want me to ask mine first, or do you want to ask yours? Because mine's about football. So did you want to?
Yeah, mine's not.
Okay. Did you want to ask the non-football one? And then I'll ask the
peck
football one?
nest, migrate.
Okay.
Asparagus, Brussels sprouts, green beans.
I will. Is it just plain, or are we like seasoning up the Brussels sprouts? Like,
Yeah, you can zhuzh it up however you want.
Whatever you want.
Okay. So I am. I'm nesting the green beans. Pecking the Brussels sprouts. Migrating the asparagus.
Okay.
Or as Xavier Leggett says, did you hear him try to pronounce asparagus?
No.
Look it up. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah,
Probably best you don't do a Xavier
funny.
Leggett impression. Yeah.
Look it up. It was very funny. Like not in a bad way. Just he would. It's a joke. Like he doesn't eat vegetables. He was saying, so he didn't really know what he said. He just started eating asparagus.
Well, that one can sneak up on you if it's the first time you've had it.
Because you smell. Yeah.
I mean, oof.
That's actually not for everybody though. You know that there's only certain.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's actually I believe it's not the smell. It's not the pea producing it. It's the smelling of the smell.
Yeah. So there's certain people who don't have whatever.
Who don't carry that gene.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
That olfactory gland has been picked up on the.
I believe so.
What made you want to ask that? The HelloFresh read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Fran?
I would actually, and that's evolved over time. I would nest Brussels sprouts.
Oh, okay.
I would
like
peck asparagus, and I would migrate the green bean. That's I would say that is completely flipped over time. Where I probably would have nested the green beans in an earlier stage of life.
Yeah, I would say those are the 3 greens that I have the most often.
Yeah, I love it. I love a Brussels sprout.
You know what I love about a Brussels sprout? I would say Brussels sprout. My favorite thing that if you burn it,
it's better.
Like the
char,
the charred leaves of the Brussels sprouts, like popcorn.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
A little salt, a little olive oil. That's outstanding.
Come on, give me those burnt Brussels sprouts. All right, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah. So my question to you, or to both of you, is you said at some point this year, Jalen Hurts is going to have to win them a game, and you're looking forward to seeing that. Was I sleeping through the Cincinnati game? Like, did him going to Cincinnati as a 2.5-point underdog against a team with an MVP candidate, MVP caliber quarterback, and he went 16 of 20 in that game. He had 4 total touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over. He had like multiple high leverage plays. It was I think the 12th best game this year in terms of EPA per dropback. Like, to me, if that's not winning a game for you, then I think the bar is a little too high.
He was awesome in that game.
Yeah.
It was the best game the team has played all season.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Game on the
fourth
line.
quarter,
Yeah,
game
yeah,
on the
right.
line.
Oh,
That
okay,
kind of
game
thing.
winning
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that was
Gotcha.
his best. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
37,
I-
17.
yeah.
And by the way, in that game, 0 negative plays for Jalen Hurts in that game. He was fantastic. I'm
No
not debating
NPOs.
that
No
at all.
NPOs. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm talking
Yeah.
about
Okay,
in,
gotcha.
in the guts of the game.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair.
NPO index off the charts in that one.
Yeah. The NPO plus would be,
Right.
yeah. If you want to factor in the score, the win probability at the time. But yeah, Jalen Hurts has been good. He's been up and down.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair to say.
Okay. Do you want to go over that last sack, or you want to just let's get?
No,
to the
I think that was
interception?
the other one. Look, the other one was the sack fumble. And I know Jalen talked about that after the game. It's basically he took full blame.
He
right?
said he needs to have 2 hands on the ball.
Right.
He said that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to protect the ball and you still can't protect the ball, that's not a good job.
He said that's on him for not having 2 hands on the ball there.
We'll come back to that because there was something where that popped up later. It was bad ball security there, but that was another example where it was basically ISO ball, where they're just basically asking all those guys to win across the board. And so rather than dive into that, that's what happened on that play in my eyes.
Last negative one to talk about. Take us through the interception.
Let's do the interception because this was one, and we were going to break it down on the show yesterday. And I said, I do want to kind of see what was going on in the secondary that we couldn't quite see in the broadcast copy. And so, Julia, let's go to offensive 18 shot. So this is 5 clips here. So. Basically, what you're going to see here from the Eagles is they start in a 3-by-1 set, and they bring the tight end, Grant Calcaterra, in motion from right to left. And what they're hoping here, once they get into a 2-by-2 look, is that they're going to put stress on the corner to the bottom of the screen. That's Trayvon Diggs. So, Julie, if you want to go to the next shot, they're running 4 verticals. So with 4 verticals against a single high safety, basically for Jalen, you're basically reading the safety, and whichever one he cheats towards, then you're going to throw the other way. And you can see the safety is already cheating towards the top of the screen. That's where Devontae and A.J. Brown are. He's on that right hash as far as Jalen's looking. So the left hash is going to be open for Dallas Goedert. So real quick, Julie, up the next one. So when you bring that tight end in motion, Grant Calcaterra, he's leaking out, and he's going to bring his route out towards the sideline and then work up the field. The Eagles are hoping that by him widening that route, because in cover 3 in a single high coverage, Trayvon Diggs has to stay outside of that outside receiver, Calcaterra. So you're asking Jalen to basically read out that middle safety. Calcaterra's route should remove Trayvon Diggs from the picture. And Julie, if you go to the next shot, you could see that as Jalen takes his hand off the ball, it's opening up. That should be Dallas Goedert there. It looks like Trayvon Diggs is cheating out towards Grant Calcaterra. But if we go to the next shot, you could see that he does. I didn't even circle it here, but you could see that Diggs gets underneath this throw. So I felt better about Jalen's decision in the moment after going back and seeing the all 22. Trayvon Diggs made an outstanding play. I would think if you gave the Eagles some truth serum here on this one, rather than it being like a YY set with 2 tight ends at the bottom, if you had A.J. Brown running in motion towards Trayvon Diggs,
and then Diggs is not going to come off that.
I think Diggs probably plays a little bit more respect to A.J. Brown running outside the numbers at him as opposed to Grant Calcaterra.
Interesting.
But I think that's a viable way. I mean, we've seen the Eagles hit YY vertical. I can remember a play against the Chargers in the Super Bowl season where Brent Selleck and Zach Ertz are running down there. You had an explosive play down the sideline, the same exact play. So I think that the thought process behind that was sound, but it was a great play by Trayvon Diggs.
Can I actually tell you what? I think that this is a little bit encouraging beyond Trayvon Diggs just making a great play. This play and the 2 touchdown passes that Jalen Hurts throws in this game, we have seen for a long time the Eagles being sort of afraid of throwing the ball in the short red zone, or I guess the long red zone, like from the 10 to 15 yard line.
The high red,
They want to run and get to the tush push. And so to see them open up that part of the offense, I think is encouraging big picture. And I know we'll go through the touchdown pass to Goedert, but I think that was his first touchdown pass of the season between 10 and 15 yards.
Okay.
I would like to see that. I would like to see that part of the offense grow, because otherwise you're a little bit too one-dimensional.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Also, to me, like that, I think that we've said, look, Jalen has done a good job of not turning the ball over the last few weeks. Obviously, in this game, he turns it over twice. I want a quarterback that's going to test those windows. Like, I want a quarterback that's willing to try and put that ball into that tight space. And so for me, like, not all interceptions are created equal. I'm okay with that interception going back and watching it on film. I'm okay with the decision. I'm okay with the ball placement. It was just a great play by the corner. To me, like the turn downs with Jalen Hurts have always been like the bigger turnoff for me. Like that's always the issue that I point to and say like, I didn't think he had a great game here. And we would talk about it after these games early in the season where the turnovers were there. And I was like, I thought Jalen actually played okay, better than the numbers would suggest. And then as we've gone on, I think that, he's been a little bit more cognizant of not turning it over. And I feel like that's resulted in more high variance play from him in terms of managing the pocket and turning some of those throws down. So going back and watching it, I was perfectly fine with that.
Here, so on that play too, this is what Jalen Hurts said. Okay. Because he actually gave more on this interception than he typically does, and I to Bo's point from his press conference following last week's game that he was kind of giving more X's and O's.
Yeah,
he did that a little more here. He said, "quote I knew exactly what they were going to do. I had a good eye for it, and number 7 just made a hell of a play. Much respect to him." He said, "I tried to fit it in there. I could have gone outside to Grant. I actually told Grant that it would happen, and I didn't pull the trigger on it, so I own it. I own the fumble as well. It will be an opportunity for us to grow from it."
Interesting.
Yeah, so
I like that we're hearing more from Jalen over the past
agree.
2-3 weeks about like specific decision making on plays like that.
That golf outing, I think, really is flip the script for him, I think.
Well, there you go. So yes, by the way, that was Jalen Hurts' only touchdown pass of the season between 7 and 18 yards. If we're getting, I mean, he's only had 12 touchdown passes on the year, but he's got an 18 and a 20. Those 2 passes to Saquon, and then after that, it's there's a 7-yarder to Devontae, a 5-yarder to Johnny Wilson, which we'll get to, and the 1-yarder to Paris Campbell. So generally speaking, they do not let it rip from that range of the field.
That's a really good point. I hadn't even put that together. So I think that is a good sign.
A couple super chats to get to. Santiago is back for more. He wants to let us know that he doesn't shower, and he doesn't understand why Zach does. And then Jack says, "It seems like Jalen has overcorrected from fleeing the pocket too early. Some of these sacks would have been 0-yard scrambles earlier in the season."
There were a couple I thought Dallas's approach to this game was very interesting, and I don't know if they thought that Jalen's hobbled with the ankle, or that we're not going to like respect the QB run, the scramble as much. So often, I mean, they were in either man-to-man coverage or in zone coverage with like no spy, no eyes on Jalen in the backfield, and that's why we saw him take off for some of those big gains. They were really relying on that front to keep him contained. And there were a couple of plays where either Jalen was able to break that contain, or like the offensive line gave him an assist. There was a play where Mekhi Becton, I think it was the longest run of the day for Jalen, where the defensive tackle, they were trying to basically do like a stunt inside, and they were trying to keep him contained in the pocket. And Becton just wiped out the defensive tackle. Jalen goes out the front door, and Becton like points to the tackle. It was actually really funny. Points to him and says like, "Yeah, I got you." And we're out the front door. So it was interesting to see Dallas's game plan going in, because I didn't think that they were, I don't want to say respectful of Jalen's legs. Maybe they thought the ankle would be more than it was, but I think that was interesting for me this morning.
All right, you want to take us through the touchdown pass to Goedert?
Yes, let's take a look. This is the last offensive play. So, Julia, this is offensive 34. This one was not a double A gap look, but it was going back to the point that Lane Johnson made in the locker room yesterday, an example of where they dropped somebody off the line of scrimmage and brought somebody from depth. Now, the Eagles are in an empty set here, so no one is in the backfield with Jalen. That means you only have 5 in protection. And so a lot of defensive coordinators can be really good at attacking empty protection. And so here what you're seeing, we'll start on the far right, and you see the linebacker, Eric Kendricks. He's dropping out on this play. Now, he started on the line of scrimmage, so Landon Dickerson is opening up to number 50, to Eric Kendricks. But with Kendricks dropping out, you have the center, Cam Jurgens. He's looking at the defensive tackle. You see on the left side, you have the tackle versus the defensive end. That's Lane versus Parsons. You've got Mekhi Becton on the defensive tackle over him. So number 13, Overshown, that is Jalen Hurts' man. He's coming from depth. No offensive lineman can account for him. So that's the guy that Jalen has to beat. And Julia, we can go to the next shot, and we can see here that he is coming scot-free at Jalen. This was part of the protection. Jalen is well aware of this, but look at Jalen's hands, Zach. Go back to what Jalen said. Look at how he protects the ball here with 2 hands, steps up, keeps it away from the rusher, and now he steps up. Dallas Goedert did a great job of uncovering. Jalen stayed patient and was able to deliver the ball to Goedert for a touchdown. I thought this was a great play from Jalen. Great job from Dallas of uncovering, but this was one where free rusher gets home, but that was kind of by design in terms of that they were expecting that if this guy gets free, that's Jalen's man to beat, and he beat it and was able to capitalize on the touchdown.
You took the words right out of Jalen's mouth.
Okay.
This is what Jalen said about that play. We didn't throw the protection to him, so he ended up coming free through the gap. It was either I get the ball out or I make the play. I chose to make the play.
There you go.
Yeah, and so listen, we can take that for granted. It's an unbelievable weapon that he has. And to the blitz point, Jalen Hurts on the season 5th in the league in EPA per blitz as a quarterback. So this thing that was such a bugaboo last season when he ranked 20th in the league, the Eagles have done a very good job putting a plan together, and Jalen has done a very good job getting ready for those things.
I would imagine that the EPA is probably better than the success rate. But,
I think that's right.
But even still, I think the success rate is still going to be like way better than last year. That would be my guess. Because I just think that they've done a much better job this year of having a plan against the blitz. And sometimes that, hey, you know what? Like it's 3rd and 9 and it's a completion for 7 yards, but you avoided the sack, a potential sack, fumble, interception, like huge negative play. I just think the overall plan has been really, really good. But I think that's certainly a good sign that the EPA is as high as it is.
Success rate, he is 57.7% this season. He was 48.5%.
It's a huge jump.
So there you
go.
Huge jump. All right. Speaking of huge jumps, we're going to talk about a sponsor.
Dynamite transition.
You ever jump while drinking Miller Lite? Don't do it. It's dangerous. But sit down, relax, and crack one open, because a lot has changed over the years, and one thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it remains less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Guess what? You don't have to choose. Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975. We're still debating, but it's a fun debate. It doesn't really matter. You get both with Miller Lite. Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. After this ad break, I want to hear what Fran's beef with the beer and chili was on the show yesterday. We didn't get to unpack that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'd like to talk about that. But before we do that, let me just tell you that you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY birds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 hours with 12 ounces of free guys and carbs and premium regular beer.
I think it's important that you know what you know and you know what you don't. And I don't know about home remodeling. Okay? So if I needed to have a deck or bathroom or flooring redone, I know the place to turn would be C-Jam Construction. And I say that because they're a family-owned home remodeler specializing in decks, bathroom, and flooring. Their goal is to help their clients alleviate the challenges and frustrations that come with home remodeling. That's why people like me would be the ideal client. I don't know how to do it myself, so I need to turn to a place I can trust, like a family-owned home remodeler that specializes in decks, bathrooms, and flooring. Be sure to mention PHLY with C-Jam Construction to receive 15% off when you call in 856-329-2933 about your next home project. See their full selection of luxury vinyl plank flooring and learn more about the products and warranties on their website, cjamconstruction.com/flooring.
You never heard about beer and chili before?
No, I think beer and chili is perfectly fine. Were you drinking your own drink and then poured it into the chili, or was it a fresh beer that you then poured into the chili?
No, yeah. I mean, I had one can of Miller Lite I was drinking, and then I had one can that I put into the chili.
See, here's the thing. On the show yesterday, you made it seem as if you were drinking it, and you're like, "Oh, I drink it, and then I pour some into the chili." That's what I took offense to.
Even that would not be crazy.
That's a little too much. That's crossing the line.
Why?
I don't want it's the same reason I wouldn't want to drink your drink.
What if I pour it in first and then you just finish it up? I mean, I'm going to put the whole beer in, but
yeah, but if you so like, oh yeah,
you're averse to the idea of backwash.
Correct.
It's going to cook off anyway.
I still don't. Yeah,
I don't like that. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
That's not my plan. But
I don't need your.
I don't want that either.
Right.
But
yeah.
Okay.
That's the only beef.
Jeez.
How'd it come out though?
It was good.
Yeah.
Had some leftovers last night. Chili. I mean, one of the great foods in which arguably leftover even better than
agree
the original time. Yeah.
Agree.
You disagree?
I don't have a strong opinion of it. Like chili. I like chunkier chili though. I feel like if you put the beer in, it'd be a little
You're like a chunk.
Be a little, yeah. I like when it's hearty. You have the vegetables, you have the meat. Yeah, that's so. I don't like it when it's more liquidy.
You like a more viscous,
Yeah.
more viscous chili.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily prevent that.
I've never made chili before, so I couldn't tell you. Yes, I've only eaten chili that others have made.
Okay.
So.
The King Zack over here is only bring me my food.
No, it's not that.
Bring
It's
me
just
my
like
laundry.
It's just like no. It's like the
Bring me
CJ.
your towel.
No, it's like the CJM construction advertisement. You have to know what you know and know what you don't. I don't know how to make chili. I know how to make. I can grill steak. I can grill chicken. I can grill. I can grill.
You can grill Nick Sirianni.
I can grill a lot of things. I don't know how to. Yeah, I will. I make pasta, or I don't know how to.
You can make pasta?
Well,
You're
no,
talking about-
from scratch?
No, I boil it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
yeah. So yeah, chili. I
Very
never made
versatile.
chili. Very what?
Versatile.
Versatile. I mean, I can clear the table and I can do the dishes, but I don't make the
Know
chili.
what you know what you don't know.
Exactly.
I will say, doing like the HelloFresh
Yeah.
has really honed, like I'm being very earnest with this, has really honed the cooking skills. I used to be the same way. I used to only grill. I'm much more comfortable in the kitchen since doing HelloFresh as frequently as we do.
The guy is the best pitch man in the company. There's no doubt about it.
You don't need to throw me $1 on that one. That one, I'm a big fan of HelloFresh.
All right. Anything else on the offense that you wanted to discuss?
Issues missed Dallas Goedert a couple times in this game. This is like one of those funny like Dallas Goedert's back, and I feel like the staff probably like dialed up a few plays to get him in, and Jalen just like turned down a couple of those throws. Some of them he just went to somewhere else. Some he ended up scrambling and he made a good play. Some resulted in sacks like we talked about.
Pretty diabolical that they didn't include Grant Calcaterra in the game plan a little bit more.
I'm sorry. I still can't believe.
I'm sorry. I got to move. Lost the mortgage.
The motion rate was about the same as what we've seen the last couple of weeks. So 63% motion. A lot of it was they ran the like inside zone with a jet sweep with Anai Smith 7 times in the fourth quarter. So I think that juiced the numbers a little bit. 14 snaps from the pistol. That might be a season
that was
high.
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of pistol, a lot of 12 personnel. There were some really fun clips in the first half from Cam Jurgens. I thought that he had a pretty strong game overall. So yeah, those would be my big ones.
All right, let's talk about the defense. The one
Yes.
play that you wanted to take a look at is a Quinyon Mitchell play.
Yes,
and
this is-
I like the comparison that we both separately made on the podcast.
I know.
In the post game.
I was interacting with the chat when you said that one line of the about the
Listen,
analysis.
some of us are active listeners. Some of us are not. That's
Yes.
okay. The Devontae Smith comparison.
Yes.
Where this is a guy who is sort of preternaturally aware of exactly where he is on the field, low pulse, cold-blooded, and you see it on this play along the sidelines.
Can I tell you, when I first met Quinyon in the during the draft process, I actually thought he reminded me of Devontae a little bit. Like
Listen,
from a
you
personality
can't
standpoint.
cover up for not listening by saying I thought of it first.
I'm not saying I thought of it first, but I'm just saying
Okay.
I think it's interesting that they carried the personality also kind of carries over to the way that he operates on the field.
Yeah, I thought it when I saw him at the Senior Bowl too. Actually,
What about when you watched one film in the summer?
when I, it's funny. When I was born, the first words out of my mouth were, "There's going to be a guy named Quinyon Mitchell who's going to remind me of a guy named Devontae Smith."
Yeah.
Very long sentence
We
for a
got
baby.
there, though. Yeah.
So quick Quinyon Mitchell story from last night. I don't know if this is funny, but so I'm very cognizant in the locker room of not standing in someone's locker after or by someone's because they're trying to change, right? So they need their space. Like when people were talking to Lane Johnson.
Oh, is this the one that you alluded to on the postgame?
No,
Oh,
that's a different
okay.
one. That's a topic I will not get into. That other one. No, this is
Freaky.
No. We are not talking about Alberto anymore. So I would say that. So I wanted to talk to Cooper DeJean, but like I would have had to block Quinyon Mitchell
Right.
from his locker. And Quinyon was kind of standing there in the middle. And then I said, Quinyon, do you mind if I interview Cooper? And he's like looking at me like, why are you asking me this? And I was like, well, because he was like, he was in a towel, like waiting to get to his slide. And I said, I don't want to block you. He was like, no, you're fine. But he like looked at me like quizzically as if, why am I asking him that? So very low maintenance.
Told you your route was trash and walked away.
The route, well, I couldn't go around the other side because there was someone else changing there. So my route was actually pretty efficient there.
Well, that's not what he thought.
He was very nice about it. Okay. But he was confused why I was asking him if I could interview Cooper DeJean. So.
Gotcha. All right, take us through this play.
So this one comes from Dan D'Amico in the Discord. I want to give a quick shout out to Philly Dan in Jacksonville, who requested the Diggs interception, and Yishmeister, who requested the Dallas Goedert touchdown. So just wanted to quick, just for the diehards in the Discord who requested these plays. So Dan D'Amico, this is the only defensive play. So Julia, it would be I forget what did I call this one? Just defensive 12, 1 and 2. So this is like teach tape stuff, like exactly how you want the corner to play this. Down at the bottom of the screen, you see Quinyon. He's lined up to the outside the numbers, so he's got the sideline. One thing that you'll hear defensive backs and DB coaches say, you use the sideline. The sideline is your friend in this situation. And when you are in phase, you're hip to hip with the receiver, or you're on top of the receiver in this way, you want to do what's called look and lean. So you're looking back at the quarterback, you're leaning on the receiver, you're entitled to this space. You're able to make contact with him as long as you're looking back to find the football. And so that's what Q is doing on this play. And we'll go to the end zone angle for the follow up here. He did an outstanding job of maintaining vision on the football, but pressing him to the line of scrimmage. And that's where that look and lean really comes into play. And you could see that the receiver is only able to get the 1 foot down, because by the time that the ball arrives, Quinyon has pushed him all the way towards the sideline. We hear all the time about you can think back, was that Monday night game, Zach, with Aaron Rodgers and Mike Williams, like holding the red line. It was that receiver is trying to hold that red line in between the numbers and the sideline, and the corner. It's your job in that situation to press him as far to the sideline as you can. Q did an outstanding job on that play of maintaining phase, making sure that he could still keep his eyes on the football while also leaning into the receiver and getting him to the sideline, using the sideline as that 12th man on the field. It was that was picture perfect. It's exactly how you want it to play.
Like look and lean is like could be a dance move or something like that. Maybe I'm just thinking of shoulder lean, like to the look and lean.
There you go.
Look and lean. I don't know.
No idea what you're talking about right now.
This is like college. No, wasn't like it was big. There was like that time frame, right?
He's not going to know that.
Look and lean. Oh.
Not look and lean. Look and lean was but it was shoulder lean. No? Oh, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's on you. He's not going to know that.
Yeah. Well, you were the one who bought it, who made the reference.
Are you going to like dance parties in college? Like,
it's not a dance. Come on. Know what you know what you don't know.
I literally said I have no idea what you're talking about.
You learn the shoulder lean when you learn to make chili. It's all together.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, that would help actually. All right, big picture thoughts on the defense. Yeah. I mean, the performance was insane.
Yes.
I mean, I still can't get over the first 11 drives of this game. I think first 12 drives, 11 of them were either a 3-and-out or a fumble or a turnover forced. Like, absolutely insane. And I believe defensive EPA per drive, the best performance for any defense in a game this season.
Yeah, I think the big thing, I'm trying to like crystallize what makes this defense, what has made them so good over the last month or so. The coverage on the back end is so tight and so sound and really well executed across the board. And the big thing that we're also seeing is that because that coverage is so tight, you're forcing a lot of checkdowns. They're not missing tackles on these checkdowns. And so often we're seeing a ball thrown to the flat or a ball thrown to, like a shallow cross or like a little hook route underneath or whatever it is. And the guys are tackling the catch so well. Think of all the times we've seen Cooper DeJean and Nakobe Dean and, Isaiah Rodgers had one, CJ Gardner-Johnson, first play of the game where there's a play in the flat, there's a play in the sideline, along the sideline, and those guys are making that tackle one-on-one. Those missed tackles we saw the first week or three, those are gone now. We're not seeing them nearly at the same rate as what we saw in the past. They are so sound on the back end. And once again, like just a handful of examples of this in this game and Tony Romo actually pointed out on the broadcast, like my favorite one where you just see everybody. It's like the, I know like the analogy has been made in the past. I don't think it was a Vic Fangio defense, but it's like the kaleidoscope. Zach may never have picked up a kaleidoscope, but you remember like a kaleidoscope,
yeah,
right?
You twist, yeah. Come on. Okay.
Well, you know.
I was in a science class before.
Well, you get the kaleidoscope, and it's like you twist it a little bit, and it's a different image. You see everything kind of morphing together. To me, like you look at the secondary and how the way that they're able to match things and constantly rotate and pick up all these routes on the fly is really, really impressive. It's a fun group to watch. They're going to get tested a lot the next few weeks, but so far you have to be thrilled with what you've seen from this unit.
My question for you, Zach,
Yes.
is part of the conversation we had on the postgame show about how this is a defense built differently, or at least succeeding differently than the ones usually built by Howie Roseman. Do you think that this will change his general operating philosophy about defense moving forward?
No, I don't. I think Howie was raised, if you will, under Andy Reid and Joe Banner, and it's about the pass rush. I think Howie would still, if he had his druthers, have an outstanding pass rush. I think the difference here is they hit on some moves, right? I don't think this was designed to be a back seven oriented defense or a back six oriented defense. I just think that they signed Devin White to more money than Zack Baun. Zack Baun's just turned into one of the best inside linebackers in the NFL. They've drafted corners early in the draft or in the first 3 rounds that haven't panned out. They took 2 this year who look really good. So I don't think this is necessarily by design. I just think it's working out this way. And they have an outstanding defensive coordinator. And I think one thing, I made this point on an interview elsewhere, and I wish I did it on the show, and I want to reinforce this on the show. I remember talking to someone in the organization over the summer who said that there's like so much is being made about Vic Fangio from a scheme perspective, and not enough is being made from Vic Fangio from a game planning perspective. They said like you'll really see the benefit of him when he's putting these game plans together. And I think that's what we're seeing. There's so much talk about the Fangio scheme. I think what we're really seeing on a week in, week out basis is how he has just buttoned up game plans.
I think like I was talking with Anthony this morning on their show, and he was asking about like comparing this defense to defenses of old, right? And he compared it to like the Super Bowl defense, and we talked about it a little bit on the postgame show yesterday, right? But where it's like that 2022 defense, they set the franchise record for sacks, they set the NFL record for sacks. In a game like yesterday, that defensive line tees off on the Cowboys, and it's 9 sacks, 10 sacks, right? I think with this iteration of the defense, it does come down more so to the way that they're able to win, and their way that they're able to kind of confound opposing quarterbacks, force those checkdowns. And the big thing is like what they did against Joe Burrow, like Nakobe Dean one-on-one with Jamar Chase. Like that's not the way you would draw it up, but that's the way you kind of need to play against opposing the top shelf quarterbacks. They're going to see Lamar Jackson coming down in a couple weeks. We'll see what that looks like. But I think when you look at the way that 2022 team played was, we're just gonna out execute you, and that's what has made like the Arizona, like Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals so interesting, is like they do all kinds of like wacky stuff on the back end that when they were here in Philly, when he and Nick Rouse were here in Philly, they didn't really do things like that. It was more like, we're gonna play quarters, we're gonna play cover 3, we're gonna play cover 2, and like we're just better. And our defensive line is gonna go and they're gonna win the game for us. That is not the way that this defense is operating. It's a fun group to watch.
And to the point about game planning, that also, it does speak to the players because they are playing different ways every week, and for them to be able to still maintain that ability to pass things off in zones and like have things buttoned up for such a relatively young group when they are not the same every week, it is very impressive. Yeah,
and that's what Anthony made the point, was like, oh, well, they're doing this so much better than that 2022 team. That 2022 team was really good at it too. Like Kaiser White and TJ Edwards and Marcus Epps, like those guys on the back, and they did an outstanding job with that. I remember thinking like, oh, like they trade for CJ Gardner-Johnson just before the season started, and they brought him in, and so quickly he was able to match so many of these routes. That group was so good, but again, that defensive line just kind of took games over. Imagine if like Bryce Huff had hit, right? Like if Bryce Huff had been the player that they thought that he would be, like to go to Zach's point, like I don't know that we're having the discussion of how he changes his
the resources are still very highly tilted towards the D-line, right? You've got 3 first-round picks, 2 third-round picks, a guy they paid a lot of money to, and Bryce Huff, a guy they paid a lot of money to, and Josh Sweat as well. So we thank everybody who was watching on TV. Go to allphly.com to keep watching as we close the loop on this show. 3 games coming up against good quarterbacks for this defense. Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson. Tough to get better than that. I'm curious, historically, Vic Fangio's defense is against mobile quarterbacks. I mean, it's not like there are a lot of guys like Lamar. He's kind of sui generis, but and I know that Jaden Daniels is usually more creating time to throw, but how much of a different thing will this be for Fangio?
I mean, it'll be
Maybe we get into it
different.
more on Wednesday,
Yeah, I think we'll probably get into a little Wednesday, but I think that, I mean, honestly, some of the things that Pittsburgh was able to do in that game yesterday to keep Jaden Daniels confined. I mean, I think he had like 3 runs for 5 yards or something like that in the game. I mean, they really kind of put the clamps on him from a scrambling standpoint, and that's been such a weapon for them. So I think you'll kind of see some of that mirrored, but I'd have to go back into the archives to go find and see what Fangio had done against Lamar Jackson and some of the other mobile quarterbacks he faced.
I just look at, and we'll obviously discuss Thursday on Wednesday. This is such a fun matchup.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also when you look at this kind of big picture, I said during the bye that there might be overreaction to the Eagles 2-2 start and that like they have a real soft schedule ahead. Well, that soft schedule is, I mean, for the next month, that's past them. If you look, 5 of their next 6 games, Washington twice, the LA Rams, Baltimore Ravens, and Pittsburgh Steelers, right? So we'll see, there's like the don't get too high, don't get too low mantra. I think that the criticism of the team was maybe a little too extreme at the bye, but like don't book your New Orleans tickets yet either. Like let's see how they look during these next 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And certainly, I think we were, at least I was overreacting at some point. I think I said there was a better chance we're going to lose 2 in a row than win 2 in a row, and they've won now 4 in a row since
5
then.
in a row.
Well, no, since since the Browns game.
Yeah.
What about schedule-wise for the Eagles this week, Zach? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we will be speaking to Nick Sirianni in about 13 minutes, although he might be running late, so I don't want to say 13 minutes. But we'll speak to Nick Sirianni today. The players are in the building today. Tomorrow, the Eagles have a walkthrough, and the coordinators will speak then. Jalen Hurts will speak in the afternoon, players as well. And then Wednesday is, so it's really, they don't have a full practice this week. We'll speak to Nick Sirianni on Wednesday, but there's no full practice. The Eagles will have walkthroughs. This isn't atypical for them going into the Thursday game, but it is an atypical week in that you really don't get to throw the kitchen sink at this game.
Eagles now up to 4th in the league in point differential.
Yeah.
The Lions 1, Bills 2, and then the Eagles are plus 72, 1 point behind the Commanders, who are plus 73 with an extra game in hand. So the Eagles are looking very much looking like a good team.
What are your early thoughts
on this
how's
game?
It go? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited.
It's going to be a great
Zach's
game.
point, I'm really just excited to watch this game because now that the Eagles are playing well, I want to see them play a good team. And no disrespect to the Bengals, but this is a team that's good in a different way.
Yep.
The link should be rocking. I'm excited for this game. I want to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
What about you?
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, you don't really have matchups. The Eagles haven't had an intra-division matchup with this type of juice. I would say, I guess maybe the Cowboys last year. Yeah, but they haven't had a lot of these types of games. I was thinking the Giants back in 2022, but the Eagles were so much better than the Giants.
And even last year, the Eagles were in such a tailspin though, that took a lot of juice away from it.
Yeah, so they've had big games. I was thinking in the drive over, they hit the 49ers game last year. There was a lot to that game, but an intra-division game like this is going to be fun on Thursday night. Our first time seeing Jaden Daniels. Storylines like Allure Brian Johnson's down in Washington, right? He was kind of the scapegoat there. It's the Jahan Dotson return game. Jahan Dotson, by the way, 2 straight weeks with 2 good catches. So we'll see how that pans out. Too. Nick Gates. I don't know if Nick Gates is on the team. I don't know if Nick Gates will be on the team.
Will make it. Yeah, that's a good point.
Zach Ertz, his first time back in Philly.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, he had an emotional farewell on a Thursday night. His last time he played was on a Thursday night.
Daryl Tapp.
Yes, yeah. Who was a great Super Bowl interview?
Sharif Floyd making his homecoming, the assistant D-line coach for Washington.
Oh, yeah. George Washington High School, right?
Yeah, in the Northeast.
Casey Toohill watching the game from somewhere.
Can I just give a quick plug real quick?
Yeah, please.
Tomorrow night, I will be at Puddler's Pub in Bridgeport as part of the Great Sports Debate fundraiser night. I'll be with Glenn Macnow, Angelo Cataldi, Al Morgani, Jason Stark. It's a night of nostalgia for a great cause for Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, but I will be signing books there. So anyone who wants to come by for a great cause, see these legends in Philly, and
Fantastic.
then me, I
Great
will be.
lineup.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be there.
That's great. Go check it out. Everybody do that
Thank you.
if you're in the area. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Jamie and Rich back with you tomorrow at 2:00, and then on Wednesday we're gonna have a little quad in Studio A. The three of us and the professor Dane is joining us
Buckle up.
for a full Commanders preview / swooper. Should be a nice long one. That'll be fun. And then on Thursday we got another 2:00 show as well before all the game day events. Kickoff show, halftime show, post-game show on Vinny Curry night at Lincoln Financial Field. Thanks for watching and listening today. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.